cave that took his sight, March 19, 1983. Deep in the rugged cave systems of West Virginia, 3 experienced spelunkers set out for what they believed would be a challenging but ultimately safe exploration. The environment they entered was brutal. Vertical drops, tight crawls, and breakdown zones filled with massive, unstable boulders that had collapsed over time. But these guys weren't amateurs. One of them, Kent Sievers, was a 30-year-old caver who knew what he was doing. They were using carbide lamps, reliable sources of light that had been the standard in caving for decades. These lamps produce light by dripping water onto calcium carbide, which then creates acetylene gas. That gas burns with a strong, steady flame, perfect for long explorations, but there's one problem. Acetylene is dangerously flammable. When mixed with oxygen in the wrong way, it turns into a bomb. The group spent about 10 hours underground. The deeper they went, the more complicated the passages became. But they made good progress. When it was time to turn back, they were already deep inside the system and faced a long journey to the surface. Several climbs, multiple tight squeezes, and more than one sketchy passage stood between them and daylight. About halfway out, they decided to refill their lamps. After 10 hours, it made sense. They couldn't risk running out of light in a place where even a shadow could turn deadly. Severs opened his pack to grab more calcium carbide. What he didn't realize was that something terrifying had been quietly brewing in that pack for hours. Inside his ballistic nylon bag, the carbide pellets had gotten wet, not drenched, just damp, maybe from condensation or moisture in the cave air. That was enough. As soon as carbide touches water, it starts reacting, releasing acetylene gas. And because the pack was sealed tight, the gas had been building up inside without anyone noticing. So there Severs was, hunched over in a tight space, headlamp burning, pack unzipped, and a cloud of invisible gas swirling upward. The moment the acetylene met the open flame, the cave lit up with a deafening boom. A massive fireball exploded out of Severs' pack, engulfing his face. It happened so fast, no one had time to react. 1 second, everything was quiet. The next, there was a roar of flame, heat, and panic. The explosion wasn't just dangerous, it was devastating. Inside the narrow, confined space of the cave, the fireball had nowhere to go. It focused all its energy directly on Severs. His companions saw the flash and the chaos that followed. For a brief, horrifying moment, they thought he'd been killed instantly, but somehow he was still standing. Then they noticed something wasn't right. Severs wasn't screaming in pain. He wasn't yelling for help. He was blinking, hard, frantic blinks over and over, and getting nothing. No shadows, no shapes, just blackness, total and absolute darkness. He was blind. The realization hit fast. He touched his face, then his eyes. His breathing turned erratic and quick and shallow. His voice, if it could be called that, was reduced to panicked noises, not words, just fear, pure, raw fear. The psychological collapse was immediate. He wasn't just injured, he was breaking down, unable to process what had just happened. His friends reacted fast. One grabbed him by the shoulders to stop him from running blindly into a rock wall or falling into a drop. The other held him steady, talking calmly, trying to anchor him back to reality. Slowly, minute by terrifying minute, his breathing calmed. The panic faded, not gone but manageable. When he could finally speak, his voice was shaking. He asked what had happened. They explained, told him his eyebrows were gone, face burned, but, and this was key, his eyes looked intact. No visible trauma, just severe burns. That gave him a thread of hope. But now came a brutal decision. Should they wait in the cave for a rescue team or try to make the climb out on their own? Waiting meant more exposure to cold, risk of hypothermia, and precious time lost for his injuries. His vision might be restorable, but only if treated soon. So they made the call. They would climb out together. Severs, now completely blind, would rely entirely on his friends. What followed was one of the most incredible acts of teamwork and determination underground caving has ever seen. At every vertical climb, Severs was guided, one above him giving instructions, one below spotting every move. They told him where to put his hands, how to shift his weight, where to step next. No visuals, just trust. Then came the breakdown passage, tight gaps between boulders, where even someone with perfect vision would struggle. One of his companions went first, and Severs kept one hand on the guy's foot. That foot became his compass. Every movement signaling a turn, a shift, a squeeze. It was slow, excruciatingly slow, but they kept moving. Through every tight squeeze, every slippery climb, they talked him through it. He felt the walls, he listened, he adapted. Eventually, somehow, they reached the entrance. Severs couldn't see the light outside, but he could feel it on his face. The fresh air, the change in temperature. It was real. He was out. He was rushed for medical treatment. The burns were serious, but not life-threatening. The vision loss? That was the question mark. And then, a miracle. Over the next few weeks, his sight began to return. Slowly, first in shadows, then shapes, and eventually, clarity. Against every expectation in that cave, Kent Severs made a full recovery. But one wrong move, one forgotten risk with that gas buildup, had nearly cost him everything. Trapped beneath the water, July 1981, Craddock Spring Cave. In the summer of 1981, while most people were winding down from the International Congress of Cave Diving, two elite divers had other plans. Bob Nadich and Scott Morris weren't ready to call it quits. Instead of heading home, they drove straight to Craddock Spring in Kentucky, a known dive site with unstable conditions and unfinished business. They had explored the area before and found a promising lead, a narrow underwater passage that hinted at something deeper, something untouched. The kind of discovery divers dream of. They had the experience, the training, and the courage. What could go wrong? Well, in cave diving, even the smallest thing can become a death sentence. Craddock Spring isn't like those postcard caves with wide tunnels and smooth walls. This one was filled with breakdown, a mess of collapsed rock and unstable slabs that shifted over time. Visibility depended on weather and silt. The water was cold and the danger level was always high. But Natick and Morris weren't hobbyists. These were professionals with top-tier training. They began their dive smoothly, moving through the familiar sections, their lights slicing through the cold darkness. Fish with no eyes darted away, adapted to eternal night. It felt like routine, until they reached that lead. But the lead had changed. Where there had once been promise of new passages, they now found collapse. The rocks had shifted. The way forward was sealed. Disappointing, sure, but not unusual in cave diving. These places evolve on their own timeline. Instead of pushing forward, they decided to do something just as important: survey work. Laying down guideline for future dives, creating safe reference points for others. It wasn't glamorous, but it was critical. Morris was setting a line when disaster hit. Without warning, a massive slab of rock broke free and dropped straight onto his legs, pinning him to the cave floor. The weight was immense. Morris couldn't move, and worst of all, he was still underwater. In that pitch-black environment, Natick couldn't even see it happen. What he noticed was something subtle, something only a seasoned diver would catch. A strange stream of bubbles. Not bursts from controlled breathing, but a continuous trail. That meant one of two things. Either the regulator was knocked loose, or Morris was in serious distress. Natick moved quickly through the now cloudy water. Silt had exploded into the space from the rockfall. reducing visibility to almost nothing. Then he saw it. Morris, trapped, face straining, legs crushed beneath the rock, air running out. There was no time to panic. Nadic positioned himself to help. Underwater, force works differently. Gravity is less of a friend. Pushing a rock doesn't always move the rock. Sometimes it just pushes you. But slowly, with careful coordination, they managed to shift the slab, inch by inch. Morris pulled free. It probably hurt like hell, but he didn't stop. There was no choice. Even freed, they weren't safe. The route back was long and dangerous, with loose rock all around. A second collapse could have ended both of them, but they stayed focused. They moved as a team. Nadic monitored Morris for signs of shock, and together they made their way out. When they surfaced, the relief was massive. Morris's injuries, while painful, weren't life-threatening. No broken bones, just severe bruising and a reminder that even the best prepared divers are one rockfall away from disaster. He survived for one reason: he wasn't alone. And down there, in that cold, breath-stealing silence, time moved differently. Every second dragged like an hour. Morris's mind raced even faster than his heartbeat, not just with the pain, but with the sudden awareness of how fragile everything really was. A solid rock one moment, a deadly trap the next. The sheer helplessness of being pinned underwater with no voice, no escape, and limited air. It was enough to crush anyone's mental composure. Nadic, battling the swirl of zero visibility and rising stress, didn't just fight the rock, he fought panic. He knew that one wrong move could dislodge more debris, or worse, entrap both of them. The weight of that moment went beyond physical pressure. It was mental, emotional, suffocating. He had to stay sharp. He couldn't afford fear. His hands groped across the jagged surface, feeling for leverage, while his other hand signaled to Morris. Small, controlled gestures to hold on. The water was beginning to feel heavier, colder. Breathing under stress burns through air fast, and Morris's tank wouldn't wait for heroics. At one point, Nadic had to reposition entirely, anchoring himself against a nearby wall just to gain enough counterforce. Still, the slab barely moved. But they didn't stop. Their training kicked in. Every move was deliberate, every breath accounted for. And then, movement. Not much, but enough. The moment that rock shifted, it was like unlocking the door between life and death. Morris didn't hesitate. He dragged himself out from under it, adrenaline overriding pain. His limbs screamed in protest, but he knew he had to swim, now. Nadic didn't let him go far. He hovered close, hands ready, eyes scanning what he could see through the murk. It wasn't just about injuries now. It was about whether Morris could even make the swim back. But quitting wasn't an option. Every diver knows. You either fight your way out or you don't come back. And these two? They fought. In both of these stories, it wasn't just skill that kept them alive. It was trust, teamwork, the unshakable will to survive. Whether it was Severs climbing blind or Morris pinned in a cold underwater tomb, survival came down to people who refused to give up on each other. One mistake, one moment, that's all it takes. And yet, when the worst happened, these guys found a way through. Thanks for watching. If you're into true survival stories, real horror, and edge-of-your-seat storytelling, hit that subscribe button. Smash the like, leave your thoughts in the comments, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop.